Alright guys, got you on my action cam. I'm just gonna go do a once over on my Intimidator. This Alias Intimidator. I'm gonna put this thing up for sale soon. So I'm just gonna get a nice tune on it. Get it all spruced up. It has all new O-rings on it already, so I'm not gonna do any O-ring swaps. I'm just gonna go through and soup it up before I get rid of it. Alright, so get the eyes, make sure the eye slots are clean. Squish this back in there. That. Sometimes if you want, this red one gets stuck in there sometimes, the red one on this side. If you get this Q-tip, you can push it in here and it pops right out just like that. But these eyes are pretty clean. Let's go ahead and put that one in. Put that one in. Let's go ahead and grab our eye covers. Check our detents. Detent's good and pliable. Got our screw. We're gonna put this down in there just to get it covered up because I don't need to be back on this side again. Press it in there and do not force it. You don't want to pinch your eye wire in there on accident, so be careful for that. Screw this in, and we're just gonna go finger tight because we don't want to strip out our threads, because that's a steel screw on an aluminum body, and that steel screw is gonna win every time if you over torque it. You're gonna ruin your gun. Alright, so all of my hose and hose barbs look good, so I'm not gonna even take apart the slower. Let's go ahead and make sure it turns on. Empire 1.5, it's on. And turn it off. Alright, now let's grab our ram sleeve. Our ram sleeve, the ram has all new O-rings on it. Make sure you also have this little O-ring on the back of it. Let's go ahead and put some lube on it. Squish a little bit on there. A little bit on the shaft. The front shaft, and you get your finger and you really want to squish it. Squish it down into the O-ring. Kind of pack it in there like you would a grease bearing. And the same for the front too. Really pack it in there. We want to get all the excess. We don't want it caked in grease. We just want a nice thin layer, even layer of that grease. You don't need to put anything, no grease needs to go on this at all, because nothing ever touches. Pretty much just where this O-ring at, that's where all your metal to metal contact is happening. We're just gonna drop this inside this hole back here. And I've already cleaned this out, but you can get a O-ring, or not an O-ring, but a Q-tip, and go in there and clean that out. Alright, now we've got a ram cap. Make sure your ram cap bumper is on there. Keeps the gun from rattling itself to death. Let's go ahead and screw that back in place. And bang, that's done. You should be able to hear it move back and forth freely like that. It should just float. Alrighty, now let's go ahead and put this back on just to get all of our important components protected. Squish that back on. Go ahead, put these back in. And again, just finger tight. We don't want to strip it. Do the top ones first. Finger tight. Perfect. Let's do this middle one right here. tight. Do the back one. Finger tight. Now we're gonna line this up right here, and this is a different size. You have to take this one off before you can even get access to that screw. Alright, now put our eye cover on. Back the screw. These little blue detents, the blue ones, I like them better than the black ones. They're a little bit more firm. They have a little bit better retention. That's one thing you always want to check on your Intimidator is your detent health. If you're missing one, it'll cause a bunch of issues and dry fires. And you don't want that. It'll make your gun sound like crap. It'll still shoot, but it'll just sound like crap. It'll make a bunch of popping and weird noises. It's because it rolls out of the way of where it's supposed to be sitting in the chamber, and the eye just, so if you have your gun set on force, it just forces it to fire, and it just makes your gun sound funky, and you don't want that. Alright, so that's tight, 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 tight. Now, I'm going to go over to the most important part of the Intimidators, the LPR and the HPR. This is really what makes the gun function at its best. So it's really simple, but if you can tell, see how this has a rebound in it right now? I'm about to go do something I do to kind of customize this, to take this out of it, because you really don't want that in there. It just causes you to get inconsistent pressures. So you don't have to do this. The gun will work fine without it. It's just something I do like to get the maximum performance. But so this is your HPR piston. They're still greased up from last time. I always want to make sure there's no scoring or any kind of like burrs in here, because this is actually like a piston cylinder wall, and this thing moves really fast up and down in there. So you really want to make sure it's lubed, but not over lubed. But before we get started, I'm gonna see if we can take out that, because we don't want that. I'm gonna show you how you can get rid of that. Alright, now that I got the piston and all the guts out of there, let's go ahead and take this out right here. Take off the that one, set that there. Let's take off one for the LPR too. Alright, there we go. Both set screws. These are different sizes, so remember the short one is for the LPR because the LPR is smaller, and the big one's for the HPR. Now let's go spruce these up. And now I'm gonna get these little set screws. I'm just gonna put a little layer of tape around them just to protect the threads. Knife. There's some kind of little saw. Maybe I can just get it started. Hold this a different way. There we go. Good enough. Alright, let's set that there. Now we're going to get this other small one right here. I'm going to put it, I'm going to hang you. I guess I'll put you right here for now. Alright, so I'm going to push this in there, get it good and clamped, not hard. I want to crush my threads. Alright, perfect. Put a little oil. Okay, I got more oil. Put a little bit on that bit. Turn it on. That's locked in place. Stinking sinking. We're through. Where did my chuck go? There it is. Chuck key. Alright, that's one. That's done. Let's do the big one now. And this is not, again, this is, if you're watching this is not a necessary thing to do. It's just something I do to get them to run a little more consistent. Centered to me. Hello. Like this. And we're through. Just like that. Now let's take this off. Pull our little thing out of here. It's tiny. No finger room in this, between this. Drill bits in the way. Alright, there it is. Perfect. Alright, so now we got that. And we got that. Now let's go back over to our work table. Alright, now we have these nice little holes going perfectly through them. So now they will no longer hold a vacuum or pressure, thus giving you a more consistent balls per second. Because it does, basically the simple way to say it, this creates either a vacuum or pressures that your gun has to work against. So if it's, as long as it's always equal to the ambient pressures around the gun, the gun's never having to fight itself. So that's what it does. All right, let's go ahead and put this back together. So use this rag to clean out any old residue in here. So I'm gonna clean that out. That looks good and shiny, no wear or tear. You'll be able to feel it. Alright, so let's clean off our the piston. Get all the old goo off of there, all the old goo. Go ahead and get our long screw, because the long screw went in the HPR. Let's go ahead and just screw. Drop this back out real quick and screw this in first. Screw the HPR. We'll just go flush. Now we're gonna put this in there. Oh, see, look, now we have that pretty little hole to allow air inside of this chamber. All right, so we got that in there. Now we're gonna get our spring, drop our spring down in there. Before we put this in there, we are going to get some, what is this, Dow 33, something like that? I don't know. What is it? So it probably says it down there. It's just called shocker lube. It's like grease. We're gonna cram, pack all this grease inside of this big O-ring right here. So we want to pack it in there where it's squished all the way around, because this is an important air seal. We don't want air getting out. And this piece is moving. Every time you pull a trigger, it's hopping up and down at a real high rate. So you want to keep this O-ring nice and greased up so you don't burn it up and your gun no longer functions, and you got to get a new O-ring and all that. And also, so if you don't have this lubed up, if you don't have it lubed up right, you'll burn up the inside of your walls in here. Put a little bit on my finger. I'm gonna try to really cram it down around this spring right here. The spring needs to be kind of lubricated too, because it is also vibrating up against the walls, but not as crucial. It's more just to kind of keep it from tearing up the interiors. Alright, so now I'm gonna get my finger and really squish this on the walls. Make sure it's all evenly coated on the inside. Remember, we don't want it caked in there. Alright, so now we got the cylinder walls greased, and we got the piston greased. Let's get any excess off this. Squish it down in there, and if you look now, see how it no longer has a rebound, it just goes straight in there. That's what we want. So that's perfect. Wipe my fingers off. Now, this is one of the most crucial parts of it. This is your Schrader valve. It's a little bitty clear O-ring, polymer. It's hard, but this is where all your air blows by, and this is what gives you your consistent pressure. So this has to be in excellent health. This one's brand new, so no need to worry. This also has an O-ring on it. This goes over it, so we are going to put that over that. I'll have to get tweezers. And we're going to put this inside of the HPR. And this one is a 10 millimeter. I already got my 10 millimeter ready right here, and we're just gonna screw it down and screw that in there finger tight, because it's brass against aluminum, and you don't want to strip out your brass nut. All right, so that has some good spring rebound. You can feel it doing its thing. Now we're gonna get our HPR. If you see on this side right here, it has a little bowl, a little cup. That's where this little pin right here sits inside of that. So just like that. Also good to put some grease. I'll use this excess grease I have right here to put on this top O-ring here to give yourself a good seal. So screw that on. Alright, that's screwed on. Perfect. Now let's do our LPR. This one right here is a little harder to get out. I have this, you can use a flathead screwdriver, but it's down in there. It's the same kind of 10 millimeter, but it's too skinny to do it with a 10 millimeter. So I got it out with this. You can use a flathead, but you also want to be sure not to damage the little pin down in there. And get it loose. Bam, there it is. All right. This Schrader valve is brand new as well. The O-ring's brand new on there. That all looks healthy. We'll go ahead and get a Q-tip and clean out. Well, I guess that's all actually good, but whatever. Put a little bit down inside of that valve just to ensure there's no goop. And remember, there should be no lubricant on that Schrader valve at all. It should be lube free. There's no need for it to be lubricated. Only air goes by it. Get the needle nose pliers, cram that down in there. That's not what I wanted to happen again. It's okay though. Just got to get it over that little valve. Might have to restart it. Nope, there we go. Bang. But I don't trust it, so let's go ahead and restart that. Grab the valve into the hole. flip it over. We're just gonna let the threads find themselves. So again, if you have a flat head, you can kind of see down there a little easier. You just gotta get them to squish down. There, we got it. So you can kind of see this 10 millimeters too big to go down in there. So that's why you gotta use a flat head or even something skinny, kind of like these tweezers I have. We're gonna go finger tight. And be careful not to damage the little brass pin valve. It's easy to bend if you're not being careful. All right, so there's that. Now let's get a little bit of lube. We're gonna use that to coat the inside of the walls. Inside of here, just nice, thin, and even. Don't cake it. Just a nice thin layer all around it. There's no need for any lubricant to be on the brass itself. It should be lube free. Alright, so I got all of that. Set that there. Here is our LPR piston. It's smaller, looks a little different. Let's get the lubricant, cram it inside all those cracks. All right. Let's put a little bit more on there. Now we're going to put this in first. So he has the little nipple thing right there, you can see. I'm gonna squish that down in there, and then the spring goes on top of it. And then last, the plate. All right, I'm gonna put our set screw back in there. And so we also drilled this one out earlier as well. And again, this is not necessary. Your gun will work without it, but it does make your gun more consistent. Let's go ahead and back this set screw out just a little bit more. Let's go until I feel it touch. There it is, touching right there. Okay, now we got a good O-ring right here, and this is also a brand new O-ring. This screws in just like this. And also there should be no debris or lubricant inside of this expansion chamber or volumizer. This is not a necessary part, it's just an expansion to this. To keep your gun more volume, more internal volume. Just kind of helps with recharging at high rates of fire. Alright, so there's that, and that's basically everything you do to keep it running perfectly. So before I forget, let's put the bolt back in. This right here, it matches up. You can kind of tell when you get it in right when it snaps down in there inside that little slot, but there's a little spring once you get to the end where it hits that poppet. That's how you know you got it in there when it's not gassed up. Whenever it's gassed up, it automatically locks the rear. Alright, so let's go ahead and put some gas in this, get the barrel on it, put some paint in it, and give it a test fire. And there it is. One Intimidator ready to go. I love this gun. I don't really want to sell it, but I bought it originally to sell it, but I ended up just falling in love with it because it's such a fun gun to play with. But if you want to be the future owner of this gun, let me know, and I can help you out with that. And up next, I'm going to just check my dark and get the impulse lubed up again because it was used pretty heavily the last 2 weekends. Screw that tank in there, it's all wobbly. But these are also 2 great guns, not for sale though. This is my prized gun. I love this thing, and it is souped up to the max. I'll make a video just about this gun one day, all the cool stuff that's been done to it. All right, LPR looks to be holding. Looks healthy to me. Let's turn the eyes back on. Eye mode, select, dry fire, force, save. And eyes work. Alright, I'm just gonna sit here and watch this LPR pressure. Seems like it's holding steady as can be. I don't see any fluctuations. Let's go ahead and turn the gas off. My fingers are all greasy. See if it degasses like it's supposed to. Look at that. It's perfect. Alright, let's get some paint for it. We'll test it out. Turn the hopper on. Turn the gun on. Okay. Beautiful.